All right. It says it's recording, right?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. View. Admit all. All right. All right. Hello to those who just entered. My name is Winston. As you guys may know, I'm the Vice President of B.A.S.E, and I am joined with Respect the Artist, Electra. They are going to be giving a talk on how to market yourself as an artist. And I feel that a lot of artists don't really know how to brand themselves in a way, or have trouble marketing themselves. So if you struggle with that, this is the place to be. So I'm gonna let Sydney Wilson, our social media chair, and Electra introduce themselves.
Sydney, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Sydney. I am the social media manager for B.A.S.E. And, I really hope you guys enjoyed this workshop. When I was making the presentation, I was like, this is great. There's a lot of useful and great information here, and I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Wonderful. My name is Electra. Hello to everyone that's joining. And I'm representing Respect the Artist, which is a private artist community. And we focus on excitement and opportunity. And within our community, and even here on this platform, we focus on ways to uplift and educate and coach artists.
All right, well, thank you for introducing ourselves. We can get started with the presentation. So let me go here.
So these are what we're basically going to be covering today. I can't talk all of a sudden, but basically, so first we're going to start with brand identity and asking yourself who you are, what you want to communicate with your artwork and things like that, because that's very, very important when it comes to marketing. You got to know what you want to market yourself, how you want to represent yourself, things like that nature. And then secondly, we're going to go over social media and how chaotic that can be, but there's some useful tips that I feel could really help everyone out. And then just finally, just some little bits of information, little helpful tips for you guys. And yeah.
I have a question. If someone does have a question, well, I guess the real question is, are we going to go over everything and then questions can be posed, or we're focusing mainly on, I guess, improv? And if someone does have a question?
I'm down with improv.
Improv. Okay, just making sure. Oh, how does it matter?
I am so sorry. I gotta move back. I was trying to unmute myself, but then that didn't work. Good. All right, let me just wind backwards.
Okay.
Oh, this is really cute, Sydney. Okay, not trying to be disrespectful, but for the flow, I'm thinking we can go over all the information, and if there are questions, it can be posted in the chat, and then we can go over everything. And if there are more questions, we can use the hand raise feature, and people can ask questions that way. Sound good?
I'm with it.
All right, that works.
There we go.
So this is the precursor for discovering yourself. When creating this, I was thinking just going back to the basics. If someone were to come up to you and ask you who you are, what do you do, and why does it matter to you? In most cases, we probably would just leave it on a simplistic slate. Just, oh yeah, I'm a college student, I do art. But in hindsight, it could be a lot deeper than that. And it could also help you create really the goal you're trying to go for with your art. So
yes, I'd like to add on to that. Sydney, I'm going to have you kick off each one, because I don't know if there's something in particular, you want to highlight before I, start giving any feedback. But I will add on to just the thought of brand identity. I really want to emphasize how your brand isn't something separate from you, that that is you. Okay. And so I just felt the need to say that because I know at one point in my life, I treated the idea of brand identity like I'm going to think of something that really clever and smart and awesome for the brand, but it's really me. Okay. So it should reflect what I believe in, like my soul beliefs, or, you know, like the questions right here, what do you do? Why does it matter? It should reflect everything that is rooted in me, not like something separate, you know? So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I would also like to say, I feel like it would be cool if the people that joined like write down answers to these questions. You don't necessarily have to share if you do not feel comfortable sharing at the end, but I think just writing down these questions and looking back at it and reflecting. So
It's a great
yeah.
idea. That's a great
Thank
idea.
you. Then let's move on. So who are you?
Oh yeah, you know, I put the little fancy text animations in there.
I really enjoyed this. I just want to say, I really, maybe I'm just out of the, you know, out of the loop with these presentations, but I really liked it. I was like, oh, she really hooked this thing up. Okay.
But yeah, basically with what I was like kind of throwing in at the introduction, it would kind of be in those cases, because we've heard it so many times, we're just like, oh, I'm just going to give this basic answer. Like, oh, you know, I'm an art student, I do art. But like, if you really like think about it, you could go down into even like more minimized subjects like a contemporary painter or like a fantasy concept illustrator. Just like saying these things out loud and writing them down, I feel like really helps you emphasize what you want to do. And it also emphasizes that towards your audience or your client or whoever you're trying to talk to. So they know exactly what you want to do. And you don't have to worry about, oh, I say I'm a painter, but now I'm painting this whole complete like different subject that I'm not really comfortable or used to. And yeah. And then we can yeah, so you
I don't know how fast you want me to click through. So you can just say
honestly
next, or
you can do it a little like boom, 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 like
okay, all right, got it.
Oh, to just
got
show
it.
all of them. Okay.
Okay, got it. So you felt like you talked about everything on this page, Sydney?
Honestly, yeah, I would just say like the little bulletins are just kind of like extra points to help emphasize like the intention of the question.
All right, cool. Electra, do you have any thoughts on this, or?
Yes, I do. I do. And I want I want to give a disclaimer to y'all because I go really deep. If I haven't said that before, I do tend to go very deep. So what I mean by that is just try to keep in mind the things that concern you the most. And if I go like super deep, don't worry about going all the way there with me. But yeah, I just got to say that real quick. So as far as the who are you, I actually want to reflect, okay, I feel like I guess it just depends on where we're going with this idea who are you, because I feel like it's important to know why you're doing something and the message behind it, as opposed to pinpointing exactly like some of these examples here, a fantasy concept illustrator, surrealist sculpture, because what I have seen, and to any of those that aren't familiar with my Instagram, my personal Instagram, Dream Aloud Art, I have gotten so much feedback from artists all over the world, a lot of questions, and a lot of questions that are along the lines of being doubtful for the next move or the next thing they want to try. And because they, oh, sorry, hold on a second. Y'all still there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had a call come in. Uh-oh, how do I go? Oh, do y'all still see me?
Yeah, I think you paused and stopped the recording by accident.
Yeah, I had a call come in. Now, how do I get back in there?
Can you see us, or like?
No, I can't
hear you.
Oh, you can see me. Oh, I don't know how this works. Hold on. Uh-oh. Oh, back to meeting. Oh, okay. All right. I'm back.
All right.
Sorry, I had a call come in there and I'm on my laptop and it interfered. But there are artists who are skeptical about changing their medium because they've locked themselves into this idea of some of these specific types of artists. And so to transition out of that, it's a challenge because I'm just going to hit the nail on the head. They don't really believe in what they're doing. They don't honestly feel confident about the message that they're putting out there. Because I'll use my page as an example, because I've experienced this plenty of times for many years of being afraid to try something new. And that was only because I didn't believe, like have a deeply seated belief in what I was doing and the message I was putting out there. So I'll use my page as an example, Dream Aloud Art, my personal page, okay? From the very beginning, I decided to, and this is before the page was put together. That's the beginning of an Instagram page doesn't mean it's the beginning of you, right? But I decided to really show love to creatives, okay? That it was so deeply rooted in me that I do that to this day, but I have changed how I do it. And so since the message and the meaning was deeply rooted, it literally didn't matter how I did it as long as I did it. And there are a lot of followers that, they may come through in the comments or whatever, or remind me in the DMs, or like, yo, I've been riding with you ever since, back in 2019, because my message has been consistent, not so much how I'm communicating it or how I'm doing it. Because I started off doing video features and where I was editing videos and having like a voiceover and a video recording. And I would post this video where I'm complimenting somebody's Instagram page. And then that evolved to one-on-one live interviews. And I was on a roll doing that. And then that evolved to tips and like a whole lot of videos on tips and coaching and consulting artists. So no matter what I was doing, that the energy and the message behind it was still the same. So once again, it didn't matter how I delivered it as long as I delivered it. And I was very confident in that. So I just got to give that quick blurb because, again, I've just had artists talk to me and say, well, I am this over here, but I want to do this over here, but I'm scared I'm going to lose the audience I have. And that is usually, of course, a little more back and forth in conversation with those individuals. It boils down to they didn't know why they were doing the first thing in the first place. Maybe it was fun, maybe it was exciting, maybe it got a lot of attention, but it really wasn't something that they thought deeply about as far as what the message is that really speaks to them that they're putting out, no matter what that is. There's a message behind, everything that we're doing. There's an energy behind everything that we do. And until you're really confident in that, you're going to hit a few. You could look at it like a roadblock, meaning that you need to pivot, or you can look at it like this is a challenge that I need to look at and face and still continue moving forward with this message, So I just wanted to, there's my thing. I don't know if I went like 20 levels deep, but it is just something to really, really pause and think about just those basics that you had on your previous slides, Sydney, like, who are you? What is your message? And why does it matter? Like, that is some of the most critical questions you can ask yourself, because a lot of the strategies and things that y'all share, information that you share, tips that you share in the content I put out too, you got to get the foundation really strong, or the rest of the steps, not that it's irrelevant because you will learn some things, but things go so much smoother for yourself when your foundation is strong. And I put that out there to a lot of artists, and I let them know, like, I would love to help, anyone build a house, but if your foundation is a little soft, or, you're a little on the fence, or you're a little, I don't know, I'm a little confused about it. Is it time to start, building a house on it? Or how about, you work on that foundation and really pinpointing some of these things, which I do want to add, you do have permission to change. You do have permission to change. I think some people believe they have to like find it and then like hold on to it for dear life, forever and ever. But that's like a plateau. So you do have permission to grow, evolve, and change. But at least having a good idea of your message, there are certain things that really speak to us more than anything, that really charge us up, that really wire us, excite us. And I've even heard it said this way, but just hear me out, like things that anger us. And I think it's more so anger you, like concern you deeply, not like, unhealthy, angry, but things that really fire you up. There's a reason why. And just notice those moments, because I feel like that just funnels into the message that really speaks to you, that you should, reflect in your creativity.
I would also, go ahead.
But no, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. I would also like to say about like, I see a lot of artists being like, oh, I don't have a style yet. I don't know who my audience is. And they just kind of freak out about that. But then I ask them how old they are, and they're like, oh, yeah, like I'm 17, I'm 18. And I'm just like, yeah, I feel like in today's society, like I'm sorry, it's like very like you need to figure out yourself. There's like this emphasis on being like a prodigy, especially when it comes to art, and like finding your style right away. And I would like to go back and just try to play more, like just play with different styles, just like explore a lot more, because you don't have to be married to one niche right away. Like you like if someone says, oh, didn't you like change up your style again? Like people always get mad. I was like, oh, you changed up your style, you did that in the third. And I'm like,
right,
yeah, because like people change, like it's so yeah, I would just like, especially in the beginning of like your brand identity, is just more so like writing a list of things that interest you and just like playing with each of that and see what comes of it. So that's like how I kind of started. So
I love that.
I have one thing I do wanted to add. It's actually from one of my classes. Crazy. I'm like taking things from anyway. So the assignment was simple, but it actually really does have a lot of meaning if you like think about it. But like it was like make a list 1 to 10 and then write 10 words you would use to describe yourself. Or like if somebody were talking about you, how would you imagine they describe you?
We took the same class, piloting the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
cool.
a good
But
one. That's a good
yeah,
exercise.
let's move on. Hello. Cool. So I can click fast through this. All right. Is that everything on the slide, Sydney?
I think there's like one more.
All right. Got it.
I lied. There might be one more.
Oh, okay. All right, there you
go. But before we get into algorithms and putting yourself out there, you have to know what it is you do. And so that way you can attract the proper target audience for yourself. And that could be like, oh, maybe you're into like painting bright, vibrant colors and you only want to paint flowers. Then you would just have to think, where can I find people that love bright colored flowers? Like I would say just kind of like what Electra was saying, you could definitely expand and experiment. But I feel like having that solid, like, this is what I like to do, this is something I'm really passionate about, will help you gauge like where you need to be directing your artwork at.
Did you want to continue with the other points by any chance? Oh, I'm just asking. Oh,
no, you're good. I was just thinking, let's see. Okay, and then I think about your ideal customer and what they like and why they would be attracted to your work. But it's kind of like basically put yourself in not only like the artist perspective, but also the client perspective as well, just so then you could get a gauge of both ends. And that is all I had to say for what do you do?
I like how you close that out.
I would also like to add, just like thinking from a consumer point, like I'm more so into entertainment, like writing stories, like film and everything. So whenever like I write a script or something out, I was just like, would I watch this? Would my dad watch this? Like
Mm,
it's like I would just think, would I spend time on this? And if
mm,
the answer is no, then like I just need to pivot because I feel
mm,
I am the best person to be like, I know my target audience and like I know what I want my target audience to be. And if I don't like it, they're not gonna like it. So
mm.
just focusing on that.
I have a question for anyone who wants to answer, even in the chat. Do you create a target audience or do you find a target audience? Do you create a target audience or do you find one?
I think they
I
find
was
you.
Okay.
They
What do
find you. Like you
Okay.
put out stuff and then they come. Like that's what I think. So
Yeah, I think they find you as well. I would say you create for yourself, and it's kind of like both in a way. Like
Okay.
you're creating, but it also attracts what you want to attract.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. I actually have a, oh, someone said something in the chats. I think you might have an idea and what's that in mind of an audience, but majority of the time they find you. Okay. Thank you, Jalen. Ooh, everyone's on mute. Was that on purpose?
No, that was just ironic. That was
Oh,
just that happened to be that
oh,
way.
okay. Okay.
My
And-
roommate was like washing dishes, so I didn't want to like have that loud
okay.
background.
Okay. I actually have a video on target audiences on Instagram, and I'm highlighting that you create the target audience. So yes, but I will say I feel like it is a combination because this goes back to the message, right? And knowing what it is you want to put out there and put it out there. This is like the super shortcut version, but it's still very true. This is at least what I've experienced. I'll say, you got your message, at least, the initial message you want to put out there, put the message out there. As far as Instagram is concerned, I use different hashtags for what people who are interested in what I'm talking about, interested in my message may want to look for. Okay. And that's how people would organically find me. So a target audience was being created. And as I changed my account to a business account, you can actually follow the stats, of people that you're attracting. And at that point, I found my target audience. I found, oh, these are the people that, I'm reaching, that I'm speaking to the most, I suppose. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because, those thoughts have been shared and artists have asked me about that too. Like, where can I find it? But yeah, okay. So there's that. I will add that creating a target audience is actually very easy. It's super, super easy. I feel like sometimes it's kind of reflecting on what Winston was talking about, how, there are artists that want to figure everything out. They want to figure it all out before taking the first step. And, you got to give yourself permission to try some things, and some things aren't going to fulfill you and make you feel excited. And so then you got to, pivot and tinker over here, see how you feel about this, that, and the other. But once you get going and, you realize, oh, certain things really do speak to you, just start putting it out there, just start letting people know. Whether that's real life social media. Hey, some people get anxiety for either one. So I'll just say, put it out there in any way that feels smooth and easy for you. And momentum will start building. But I think, again, some people may have these ideas about what that means, like momentum, like I need things to happen fast. No, when one person likes what you're showing or supports you or follows you or comments, like that's a win. Like, look at it as a win. I believe it's also in this presentation about quality over quantity. Like I say that too, so really give love, okay, to the people that are supporting you. So yeah, there's my plug on that one. Let me see, think about your ideal customer, what they like and they're attracted to, and why they're attracted to your work. I want to add about that last point, why they're attracted to your work. You can also ask, just ask them, hey, you know what? Hey, I appreciate your support, comment, follow. I've done all of these things, no matter how many followers I have. I mean, I know accounts that have, I personally know of accounts that have people that have millions of followers, but they still directly communicate, like, hey, what are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about that? So, be open to just asking and creating conversation with them,
All right, cool, awesome. We can move on to the next slide, if it would let me. Thank you. So why does it matter? I think this question is the most existential question out of all of them for me. Like, why does what you do matter? So I'll let Sydney talk about it. Did I get everything?
That's basically kind of what I was like emphasizing too. It was like, at the end of the day, you decide why it matters. Like you're the one that provides that perspective, how you want to communicate it. Like your art is up to you to decide, like, oh, I want to just I just want to draw bubbles. Why? Because bubbles are pretty. That's it. That, like, if that matters to you, then look.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I would say you never know who can really like resonate and get like feel your work. And having a deep understanding of why your art matters to you can really help you like create the vision you want to make in your pieces and stuff. And yeah, that's all I really have to say, because I was kind of just for this one, it's really for you to ask yourself.
That's wonderful. This is a good one. Oh, I love that. I'm actually reading the rest of this here. A deeper understanding of why art matters. I will add to that, Sydney, what you just said about drawing bubbles. Okay. In RTA, Respect the Artists, our private artist community. Okay. We were having a chat. It may have been about presentation on social media or something, but I tend to use this example of, I'm trying to think of, is it Bob who likes tacos or something? Oh yeah, Bob who likes tacos from Cali. Okay, or we could get more specific. We'll say LA. Okay, Bob in LA who loves tacos, something like that, right? So the reason he loves tacos is because, the reason he highlights tacos so much is because, and this is a made up example, there might actually be an artist who does this, I have no idea. But anyway, he loves to have tacos in all of his work because it reminds him of when he was a child and he spent time with his father in LA, and whatever they did together, whenever they got together and had an outing or just did whatever, they would always go have tacos afterwards. So that is his message. It reminds him of a loving time of father and son bonding or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you see how his message isn't like super, like, incredibly so deep and super powerful. It just reminds him of good times, I guess, Mm-hmm. So when he's putting this message out there, right? He's known as Bob from LA who loves tacos. He'll use hashtags, right, that have to do with what he's doing, hashtag Bob, tacos, LA tacos, whatever, okay? You see how when he holds on to this particular message, he can change his medium, he can change his direction, he can sculpt mini tacos, he can draw tacos, he can paint tacos, he can, have photos of, famous locations in LA and then draw tacos with markers all over the place, around that particular piece. So going back to why does it matter? It matters to Bob. Okay, Bob isn't trying to get everyone else to approve and agree with why it matters. It matters to him. And that's that's all that matters to Bob, you know, and anyone else who can identify with that. So just wanted to put that out there, because sometimes that idea, like the purpose, sometimes when people hear, an artist hear these words like purpose, and they think they have to like really like, oh, this has got to be something so incredible that it's going to shift the continental, you know, body. I don't know. It's just like, but it doesn't have to be on that scale, you know. What matters to you? And that's what's most important.
That was a great point to add. I think, yes, that's very important. I really like the perspective you brought in for that.
Yeah, good
My
points.
pleasure.
Good points. Let's move right along. All right, social media. Find your flow as an artist online and connect with others in ways bigger than ever.
I tried to think of a little catchphrase. I try my best.
That works. That works.
We appreciate the effort, and I think it paid off. Like, I think it was good.
Mhm.
So the
All right.
fourth one is actually on like a completely different slide. So we'll just go over these first three first, and then yeah. So these were like 4 things I felt like were very important in terms of social media. And the first one is just setting a limit, because you know sometimes social media can be really overwhelming. It can be a lot to like process and handle and just really get lost in. And so I think it's good to just take some time for yourself, you know, go spend time with others, just connect in all aspects on social media, in real life. Like, the world will not revolve. Your world should not revolve around social media.
Yeah.
Secondly, is follow and or surround yourself with things that make you happy or inspire you. Like on your feed, if you're really into like sci-fi and that like really resonates deeply with you, then you should just follow a lot of accounts or artists that, sorry, there's a lot of beeping, like inspire you and build your timeline around what you want to reflect for yourself.
Mhm.
And finally, and honestly, I would say between this one and the last one, these are the most important things about social media. Do not compare yourself to other people and or artists. It is perfectly fine to be inspired by them, but what you don't want to do is like feel like you have to keep track with someone or keep up with somebody like it's a race. Like, everybody is moving at different paces, has different things they're going through in life, and has like different reasons and motives for creating their artwork. And it just would not be fair to you to like put yourself in such a stressful situation to where you have to feel like it's you versus everybody else, when in reality it's just you and your journey and how you're processing it.
I would like to add, just off of the last point, I touched on this before in our conversation. I think just the comparing aspect is just very baked into Instagram in particular. Like, it's that whole thing of, I was watching a video about like gifted children and how like they grow up and they are not praised as what they did when they were younger. So like I remember being 15 and drawing something and getting praise, but I would draw it now and like no one would pay me no mind because I'm older. And like this, I'm sorry I talk about society so much, but society has this hyperfixation on young people, like the Forbes 30 under 30 list or stuff like that, where it's just very like competitive. And being in art school, you are pit against your other artists. It's just like, oh, like who had the best render in this program, who did, like, it's just like who does the best. And like, oh, do you want to get a job? You're competing with your classmates, you're competing with people like that. And it's just like that comparison, I don't know. It's very, and I'm not dissing Sydney for saying this at all, but I'm just like, it's very easy. It's like, oh, like don't compare. Everyone is at different paces. But like when it comes down to it, you're trying to get a job, you're trying to survive, and you can't help but not see other people being successful and wondering why you're not successful. And that is just very difficult, and just like opening up nuance where it's just like not as simple as like, oh, okay, I will just not pay attention to that anymore. It's just what has helped me the most is just being in competition with myself, because I feel like I have to have some type of competition in my life, even though if I feel like it's healthier to have it with yourself than other people. But it's still definitely hard, and like I have not mastered this at all. So setting limits on social media and just like taking a break when you start being like, ooh, damn, like they got into this studio. Oh, let me stalk their LinkedIn. Like you like don't get into those spirals. It's hard, but like just really, that's why I really like the first point of just like setting limits on how much you spend on social media. So that's my spiel on this one.
Yeah, thank you for that. You had a lot of really good points there and a lot to think about, because that can go several levels deep, but a lot of fact as far as what you shared, Winston. Yeah, setting limits, that's a big one. That's a big one. And that's one that literally like 1 week ago, I was like, yeah, it's continuous to notice where you have to create healthy boundaries with even social media. I feel like a lot of people may understand healthy boundaries with people, for example, but even in some of the most simple, subtle ways, there's still moments where, hey, I'm human. Like I'm still trying to improve myself. So as soon as I had identified an area where I didn't have a particular limit, it was kind of like, oh, just here, there, whenever, however, more specifically with social media, I wouldn't see myself as someone who spends a lot of time on social media, which I don't, but it's a mentality too, So I may be thinking of something that, oh, I need to post something, or, oh, did I post that I have a live coming up? Oh, did I do a story post? I realize these little glimpses of feeling like I needed to do something and have some kind of activity there. So even though on the outside, physically, you wouldn't see me engage barely that much on social media, but up here, I'm thinking of what I'm supposed to, as though I'm obligated to social media, and I'm not. Part of my greater mission and Respect the Artist, me and my team, it literally has nothing to do with social media, although it's an aspect, of course, that a lot of artists find valuable, and we're going to continue to put content out there, but we're just mindful now of the adjustments that can be made that will actually give us more time to enjoy our life. And again, still continue with the mission, but I just wanted to add that because sometimes in the most subtle ways, you may not notice that there are still areas that you have not created some kind of limit or a healthy boundary. And the same goes for comparison too. I always encourage artists, especially with Instagram, to really examine the accounts that you follow. Really examine. And unfollowing someone doesn't mean that they're no longer a worthy individual. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You can, and I'll tell you this much too. I love how they have a mute option. You can mute someone's story posts and everything, because there are, some artists that I know on a more personal level that I follow, but sometimes the content that it just feels so, what one may deem as too much. Okay. Like maybe, are they just doing this for attention or randomness, or sometimes they're just mad at the world, but based on just, some of their activity, I'm like, okay, I got to turn you off. I'm going to have to mute you because I'm protecting my peace and the content that I'm choosing to expose myself to. And let me put some emphasis on that. It's a choice, it's a choice. So I just really pay attention and say, all right, how much energy and time and attention am I giving this person or a page or whatever, a website, it doesn't matter. How much am I giving here? So yeah, it's my little blurb.
I appreciate the blurb.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
This
I
happens when
really,
I'm talking to y'all. This happens.
I wanted to say, like, I was talking with a group of friends last night about just attention and where
Mm,
you put your attention.
mm,
And the
mhm,
person was saying, like, attention is like watering a plant. And like,
mhm,
you can either like spread your attention very wide and like barely water your plants, or you just overwater one plant.
mm,
So
mm,
it's like I really like that analogy of like what like the more you pay attention to something, you can grow it or it can like start to become an obsession.
mm.
So I think just putting more like analogies into the conversation
I
about
love
this
that.
is that I
I love
appreciate.
that. That's a great analogy. I really love that because um, exactly what you just said, especially if you're giving, say, too much attention, like overwatering a flower is like overwatering an individual. I mean, attention is nice, but do you want to be hovered over? You don't want somebody with a magnifying glass over you? Maybe not. It feels a little violating at that point. So yeah, that was good. I'd also like to add about attention too. When you're paying more, and of course in a healthy context, when you're paying more attention to yourself, you'll find that you don't really have much interest to pay so much attention to everybody else and what everyone else is doing. You're more concerned, as kind of like what you had mentioned, Winston, about competing with yourself. You're more concerned about that, like, okay, cool, this is what I'm doing, how can I do this better? And then paying attention to what your, depending on what we're talking about here, but what your um preferences currently are, or what your style currently is, or okay, I did it whatever that is, I did it this way, maybe I can try it this way. So give some attention, some highlights, some love, some respect to those aspects of yourself, and you'll find that you're not as interested in everyone else's activity in life as you may have thought that you were.
Sydney, do you have any
Pause.
thoughts? Or-
Pause.
I, mm, mm, bro, I'm so sorry. My connection is on some different stuff right now. it's really fine. I think I'm good for this page, but there's one more point.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
No, but like there's one more
Oh
point.
yeah, you're good. You can click it.
Yeah,
Oh, I did
yeah,
not.
4 points.
Okay, got it. There we go.
Mm-mm.
Oh yes, I forgot to talk. I just started reading.
Oh,
So the final point is to post what you care about. While it does, I've been victim of this too. Like I get really caught up in like, oh, I see, everyone's really into this, so I'm gonna start drawing that, and I could care less about it, and it just kind of like the motivation slowly dies out.
Mm.
But if you post what you care about, it just kind of it gives you more motivation. You have that underlying drive that helps you like, oh, I want to complete this for me, for myself. And if people like it, they like it. But when it comes to aesthetics, you don't have to strive for perfection. Social
Mhm.
media is shifting all the time. And if anything, even though we are going towards a minimalistic age, that does also open up the doors for more you being yourself. Those imperfections and small flaws that you may notice, some people may think is like the highlight of your piece because it's a part of you. It shows you that how you're different and you stand out from everyone else. And just remember that social media is for you and not for everyone else. And even though it
What?
can be a great tool for expanding and connecting, just remember the whole purpose of getting on social media. Why are you on social media? And that's my
Pause.
I
Pause.
would.
That's
I
a
would.
gem. That's a real gem. Remember, social media is for you, not others. That's a mic drop. I can't follow that. I mean, it's yeah. And really remember that. Really, really remember that. It can be a challenge sometimes, because again, a lot of different conversations with a lot of artists. There's, sometimes they get lost in the sauce and they desire the attention more than anything. So yeah, they get sidetracked sometimes because they want that attention rather than what, say, their page and their message started off as. And I had I'm friends with a lot of artists. So one of my friends, she was really focused on, putting her artwork out there, staying consistent. And then she took a different direction where she started making like funny videos. And at first I was thinking like, all right, she veered like completely off. But then and I had another, one of the RTA members on my team, she told me, well, maybe you could have a talk with her and just be like, hey, maybe, maybe you should scale it back a little bit, get back on track. And I said, you know what, honestly, you gotta let people do them. Honestly, let them do them, because maybe that is the direction she needs to move in. Maybe she's still trying to find her stride with how she wants to, maybe communicate to her audience more about her as opposed to just her artwork, so they know, oh, this is her and this is her art, same, one of the same. And so they understand who they're following, who they're supporting. So sometimes, it may appear one way, but I will say, as far as entertaining and all of that, it has its place and I'm all for it. But again, the energy behind it, the intention behind it, is it because the intention behind it, is it because you crave the eyes on you, the views, the likes, the comments, or is the intention behind it like, hey, I'm exploring, I want to try different things, I want to see how many people feel like this has an impact to them. But that bottom line, remember that it is for you. And I think that's a great way to move forward with what you do on social media. And I want to add this to with my page, Dream Aloud Art. I think a lot of people, and of course, this is what generally someone would think going to my page, is like, oh man, this is all love for artists and everything. Oh, she's educating us on stuff. That's what's up. But I want to let y'all know something. The people who have been the most disrespectful to me are artists. I kid you not. So there have been some people that just literally, whether it's just they just don't like what they see or whatever the case is, that just can't stand. And this is it's not common, but I'm just letting you know that it has happened. There are people who just don't like the message, and there are artists. Like I said, it's the artist. I've never had anyone who wasn't identifiable as a visual artist speak negatively about what I'm doing, or even if they disagree with something. But I have to stand in my truth. And that goes for our audience here today. This goes back to understanding why you're doing it, the message behind it, all of that, and the bottom line right here, right? It's for you. Okay. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing because somebody disagrees and they've come across disrespectfully. You delete it, you block, you do what you got to do, and you keep it moving. So I just wanted to add that, because not everything is sunshine and rainbows. When you are, especially if your account is public, you could have 2 followers. Okay. But if it's public, then hey, it's open for anyone to come through. Right. But I want to add that, and that's why it's so important to really believe in what you're doing, because you will have moments where you're challenged, and once again, it is for you. How do you want to do this? Not what someone else thinks you should be saying or doing. It's really about you. Pause.
Yeah. I think I want to go back to just Sydney made a point in the slide about algorithms and why you make what you make. And it just reminds me of how the algorithm says, okay, this person makes wood print blocks. That's their thing. They make wood print blocks. In the moment you do an acrylic painting, your numbers just plummet. It's not getting out. It's and I've had a lot of artists voice that concern about whenever they do try to diversify, like
Yes.
the algorithm just like kneecaps them, and how, and that's why Instagram is honestly not that great of a place for artists. And like
Mm,
a lot of artists like use ArtStation, back in the day, DeviantArt.
that's
Yeah, I don't
right.
know. I don't
That's
know if people
right.
still use that. Pinterest or even Twitter. But
Yes.
I just think how algorithms are set up doesn't allow for social media to be for you anymore. Since like we're in a creator content era where you can be like an influencer, essentially. It's just like they want to make money off of this platform. They want to give you sponsorships. They want to like, it's,
Right. Right.
it's capitalism, but
Mm,
it's so it's just thinking about I never thought that social media was for me. It was always for other people. And that's why I'm honestly, I just don't keep up with my Instagram. I don't post as much as I want to. It's not like I'm not doing any,
sure.
but it's funny because like this, even saying that, like I am doing something, but if no one sees it, am I actually doing anything if no one can comment on it? Because like I have multiple people tell me that I need to get my LinkedIn together because it's in shambles. And I'm just
Oh
like,
gosh, we could be
it's
here for a
shambles.
long
It's
time.
because they're just like,
Yeah.
"Then you're doing so many cool projects. Like, why don't you post it on LinkedIn?" And I don't know, something about LinkedIn really rubs me the wrong way. Like
I
it
think it's the
really
interface.
irritates it really irritates me. And but like my mentor is like, Winston, that's how people get jobs. This is how you just gotta like bite the bullet with this one and everything. And I feel like as like, and I'm not trying to diss the fine arts. I'm not trying to do all that. But like with fine arts, it's like, you just find your vibe, you catch your vibe. But like, I feel like for illustrators or more commercialized art, it's just like there is that audience that you do need to think of in a sense. But this is like a very obtuse conversation, just bringing it back to social media about how algorithms can kick you in your ass sometimes, and it's annoying. So
Luckily for you, algorithms is on the next slide. I think it is.
But that was good feedback, Winston.
Ah,
I want to say that. That was good.
there's more.
I see. That A word, boy, the A word is back, boy. Let me tell you. Finding the algorithm. Oh,
So I would just like to sprinkle in a couple of useful tips and bits about the algorithm and the tedious battle that I have experienced with it, and just from hearing from other artists as well. First point is like sharing your story, or like sharing what your intentions were behind a certain piece, or just giving like that background. Sometimes I can really just help engage you with your audience and help them see what you're seeing, and then they'll be like, wow. And it kind of like also helps develop how you think, like you're showing your thought process, and that could just intrigue people even more, because they're like, oh, so they chose the color blue because of this, that, and the third. And that's like, wow, that's really cool. It's really interesting. And then you got followers versus engagement. Man, this is a very difficult one. It, like, even though I have it written down here, it is still something I struggle with sometimes, because you see that followers number go up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting big. I'm about to make it up to the stars, you guys. But
right.
like at the end of the day, you can have like 20,000 followers and 5 people saying something, and those 5 people still hold more weight than those 20,000 followers.
Say
And
that. Come on.
like it says quality over quantity. Well, it says quality, not quantity, but same difference.
Oh,
But
the other way around. Yes. Or yeah, quality. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you're correct. Quality. Yeah, not quantity. You're good. You're good.
But also, if you think about it, it works in your favor either way, because engagement on social media is a lot more important than like the amount of followers you have, because with that engagement, it also expands your reach. It expands the amount of people that sees your stuff. So you could have like 200 followers, but if all 200 of those people were loyal and down to it, that's really the icing on the cake. Yeah.
Facts. I just want to give a blurb. I love to reflect on when I had 25 followers, and I loved it because they were actually supporting the authentic me.
Yeah.
Just want to say that. Yes. All right.
And finally, it's just being more interactive. I would say with the way social media is going, they're like what Winston was saying, like they're kind of going towards like a content creator kind of thing, where like there's like more video based, more go on live, have these talk spaces, but we could use these to our advantages as well. And it also gives us a light to really step out of our comfort zones and find different ways to like express our creativity, whether that be like some behind the scenes or like you have like just a whole video explaining your concept and why you chose to go this way and things of that nature. But yeah, I'm gonna say sharing, expressing your story, who you are, what you're trying to represent, and the people that interact with your story, show them all the love. If they're interacting with your account, commenting, liking, saving, all love to them. And finally, just trying new things, going out there in the social media world platform and seeing what you can do with the tools they're providing. Because if there's one thing, like Reels on Instagram, they give a lot of reach. Like, because it's so new, they're emphasizing it so much. It's like, oh, if you do this video, you'll get this amount of views. And it's just because everybody's on it constantly 24/7. And so, it's just about trying new things. And that's all I gotta say, if you guys wanna sprinkle
Yeah,
this.
I would like to comment on the Reels thing. One thing nice about Reels is that I would scroll through some of them and I would see like a reel with like 5 likes. And I was like, wow, this is like on my for you page. Like this is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Like it's like showing like the smaller guy. But the thing with Reels that really pissed me off, or I think maybe just like social media, where it would be like a TikTok sound or just like a sound or a trend, and it would be the same thing over and over again, just different
Yep.
artists doing it. Like I
Mm.
remember back in the day, which was only like a year ago, but it's back in the day in social media
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
everyone was drawing their version of like the Sailor Moon pose. Like maybe I'm getting a little too deep cut in there, but like
Oh no,
there's
I
a lot of,
remember.
yeah, but there's
I
just like a
remember that.
lot of sounds of like there's this like new one where I don't remember the songs, but they're very inappropriate where it's like one character in the foreground and the other in the background twerking, and it's just like I remember seeing this so much
Oh wow.
all the time, and it's
Mm.
just like it's just the same thing. Like, so if you want to like get exposure, that's a good way. But like as Sydney was saying, the engagement where like you're doing, it's good to do trends now and then, but like I don't know, like I kind of go crazy when I'm seeing like the same thing, like the Euphoria high school one that's popping off right now. It's just like I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
it bothers
back
me
to back.
a little bit. It bothers me.
Wow. Well, y'all got me thinking here. As I'll just say something about the trends. Like I do not, I don't support trends. I never say or suggest that anyone should follow a particular trend unless there's something that they're trying to accomplish out of that. But no, I never. It's just not my thing personally. And again, nor do I recommend that anyone follow it unless they just, it's their thing. They want to, they have the right to. I want to briefly something under the followers and engagement. Yeah, quality. I feel like quality followers, because yeah, that's what you had mentioned, Sydney, is about, okay, something to do with like, okay, yes, we would like quantity, but as long as the quantity or the people supporting followers are actually quality and they are relevant to whatever it is you're trying to put out there. Like they actually support what you're sharing, your message, your artwork, or, you know, anything like that. But I also want to connect on something you mentioned on the previous slide, Winston, having to do with social media being for you. So I say, and I agree with the aspect that is for you as far as how we're using it, right? How the individual is using it. They should use it for themselves, for their own thing, whatever it is they are doing. But I also want to add, because that was such a good point, and I've had this discussion with other artists too, that it may not even be necessary for what the artist is trying to accomplish. You know, like that's why it's really critical. Again, going all the way back to slide 1 or 2, okay? But really asking yourself those questions. Who are you? You know, what is your message? And, you know, why does it matter? I believe something along those lines. But really ask yourself that, because there are some artists that, you know, I've, you know, heard stories from different artists. They've shared their stories with me. And how like a couple of artists went through the same kind of thing. They were trying to do something on social media and nothing was happening. Whatever it is they're trying to get here, which I personally believe is the idea of fulfillment. Okay. They were not being fulfilled by whatever's happening on social media. One of their, and I kid you not, it's like 2 artists, same story. Okay. It was suggested to them to go to some event or something where they painted live. Okay. I think one was at a shopping center, another one somewhere else. I don't know, but they were doing some live painting. They got so much fulfillment out of that it's like, that's all they wanted to do, you know? And so trying to do something on social media was not connecting the dots for either one of them. And they found their happy place, if you will, off of social media. And again, this, you got to give yourself permission to try different things. I just wanted to say that because there are so many different ways to be expressive and creative and artistic and all of that. Got to give yourself permission to try some things. Pause.
Yeah, no, good. Sydney, you ready to go to the next slide?
I'm good. I'm
All
good.
right. 3, tips and tricks, some resourceful advice we've gathered over time as artists ourselves. All right.
Yeah.
So my first point is going to be consistency. And I don't mean like you're like Picasso masterpieces every single day, because one, that would just drive anybody insane. Like that's like, when I say consistency, I mean specifically like just the small things. Like if it's just doing some sketches every day, just something that like keeps your like hand moving, keeps that like creative process, the little gears turning, because the more you do it, the quicker you get at it, the more you understand it. It's kind of like, it's overall really helpful. And I would say when I say consistency is key, like just think about things that are like very basic. So sometimes it does mean starting from square one just to like really, really get that foundation solid. But yeah, consistency in like anything, even if you feel like it has no purpose, it serves a very big one in the long run.
Very true. That is so true.
But the way I set up these were like 1 each. So I guess we could talk about this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I literally have a video emphasize. I may have 3 or so videos emphasizing consistency. And not only that, I feel that when you are being consistent, right? You know, it's almost like how people say it's a numbers game. It's like if you just do something repeatedly, not only is it going to become easier, but you may end up seeing ways to make it smoother, make it more fun, get it done faster, whatever that looks like. And practice is progress, you know, it's the same thing. Just stay at it. Even if it's a matter of like being consistent in your message, it just becomes, you know, you find I think of my own experiences, but I spent a whole lot of time on my earlier days. I mean, like hours trying to make videos and trying to make it perfect, right?
Mhm.
And then still going forward with the same message, highlighting artists, shouting out artists, giving love to artists, all of that. I found ways to make it, to get to the main point I'm trying to say faster, which people appreciated. But I appreciated it first because it's like, oh, I got my life back. What do you know? I don't have to do as much video editing. And this is, as Winston was saying, kind of back in the days, right? Which was like a year and some change ago, but it was before Reels and, all of that.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had to like create these like perfect videos and all of this kind of stuff, which wasn't necessary over time, but staying consistent and saying, okay, cool. Now that I see that I'm burned out from trying to create a perfect video and try to get all the lights all, exactly right. Now
Mhm.
that we've seen that this isn't working, how about I try something else, so that consistency will unveil a lot of things. You're going to end up seeing it. It's almost inevitable. As long as you stay on that path, it's almost inevitable that you'll find ways to make it smoother.
Yeah,
Pause.
I would say like what I'm hearing from this consistency conversation is just like
Mm.
allowing growth.
Mhm.
So like what you're saying, like realizing when something is not working
Yeah.
and being able to pivot. And that
Mhm.
is something I struggle with. I am
Mhm.
stubborn as a bull sometimes. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna make it work. And like I work harder and not smarter sometimes. And
Mm.
it's hard, it's really hard to like I sometimes I feel like I'm too far in it to like go. I have to retrain myself. It's like it's not going back, we're just turning. So
Yes,
it's
that's right.
so just thinking about consistency is key. It's really hard for me to keep up to date with everything. Like, like this year I said I wanted to like do figure drawings like at least every once a week because like
Mhm.
working on anatomy is important to me. I haven't opened up my sketchbook, but it's like really just it goes back to the attention thing and like
Mm.
where you put your attention and knowing when like marking off, okay, these things are really important to me and
Yeah.
I need to give this attention like now. Like how can I cut back, how can I have more balance in my life to be consistent in the things that I want to be consistent in. So.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions because we're going to touch on time management. Is that on here? A note about it or something?
Yes, I
Oh,
believe
okay.
so.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go ahead and just say something real quick about that. What's important for us to do, because I've had to do this myself, is to really ask what works best for me in order to remain consistent. Okay. So instead, when you say like once a week, for example, right? Be honest with yourself. Do you really think that once a week it could get done? Is it maybe once every 2 weeks? Is it 1 hour every 2 weeks? Or is it 1 hour every month? And something I put out there to artists is we'll use the 1 hour per month, right? It sounds so super easy to accomplish for most people, right? Like, okay, 1 hour, I could get 1 hour in a month. So within that month, they may reach it within the first week. Oh, okay, cool. I got it. I got that done. But then if you do anything more than that, it's more of like a pat on the back now because it's like, okay, dope. All right. I did a couple hours this month instead of doing something that perhaps feels a little more like you're putting pressure on yourself and then not achieve that and then feel bad. So you really looking at how what our ideas are of remaining consistent, of saying, oh, I can do this once a fill in the blank. And another perspective I put out there is that if you had a doctor's appointment, right? It was critical that you have to attend, you got to go to the doctor for 30 minutes once a week. At that point, would you say, well, nah, I can't do it. I can't come through. I can't. it is what it is, right? Or would you make sure that you go? And so sometimes this is psychological. A lot of times these are the games that we play in our mind. And that's happened to me. That's a really big one, Winston, where it's like it really dawned on me big time, probably the middle of last year, where I would set these goals that on purpose, right? Subconsciously, right? I'd set a goal that feels unachievable just so I can't reach it. And so I feel bad. I'm going into a cycle. All right. So I have to look at that and ask, wait, why am I doing that? Why? And then really debunk it and say, you know what? Okay, how about we bring it down a little lower, which really isn't that low because I already set a really, unachievable goal. So let's bring it down a little lower. And let's focus on that energy of winning. Let's focus on that energy of getting it done and saying, all right, cool, I got that hour in this month, so I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A, and have a, whatever flavor shake they got, okay? But reward ourselves. What's that?
Cookies and cream.
That's the best one.
Cookies and cream?
Yep.
Okay. Someone told me the other day, they're like, I don't know where they get all these different flavors. I was like, well, they got something different? Like, what do they have? So duly noted. But yeah, that's a big one. A lot of artists have shared their moments with me where they feel like I can't do this. And it's like, maybe we can just really, just readjust how you see it. And then do not only that, but then do more. And then you're going to like that. And you're like, all right, I'm getting it done. I'm on my artistic accountability, and which I will say within RTA, we do have artist accountability. So we check in and just see how everybody's doing. It's not even like a particular time frame or anything. It's just like, hey, y'all, drop some, progress photos and stay motivated.
Yeah.
I think just thinking about that, like going back to the conversation I had with like my friends last night about patience, or no, not patience, attention. And it's how you motivate yourself. So as you were talking about like, oh, you feel ashamed that you did not reach that goal. And
Right.
Some people use that shame to motivate themselves to do work. Like, I don't know if ever, no, I've definitely been there where I'm just like, I'm not doing enough work. I'm not accomplishing what I'm doing. And so I'm beating myself up as I'm doing it. And I'm in a negative headspace while I'm trying to do work. And it's not a flex, but I used to think it was a flex where I was like, yeah, I can cry while I'm doing work and I can still get it done. And just like looking back on it now, like how I tortured myself sometimes. I'm just like trying to get that done. So I really like setting like your limits again about, okay, like what can I do? What can I set the bar just a little lower to know where I can like be okay? But I feel like just coming from like my background of just high excelling, high functioning people, it's really you kind of miss. I don't know, like it don't work out.
I get that. I come from the same. Absolutely. I can't even begin to tell you, but it was deeply rooted, so I understand. But it can change, it can change, it can adjust, and to the point where, like, I think flexibility is important too. I'm not saying like, I don't go live after 5 p.m. and that's it. We're not changing nothing. What I'm saying is that, hey, you get into, I'm gonna keep it real. You start liking it, you start enjoying these different aspects of thinking and living your life and saying, I kind of like that. I kind of like just saying, okay, cool. 1 hour a month, something what feels, it's like your energy and your mind are in agreement here. So it feels extremely achievable, right? So then having that idea of doing things that are extremely achievable, it's like you want to just keep going for that now and then doing more, because the energy after that is I've done more than I set myself to do. So, this is really in all aspects of life. This is, on a deeper level, it's just true. Okay. But yeah, you could do something, I'll say like cleaning the house. Like I'll have conversations with my friends about this, but it's like, all right, every Tuesday every Tuesday and Saturday, I'm going to make sure I do the laundry. Okay, well, something comes up, throws it off. And then do we feel bad about that? Or do we just say, all right, I didn't get it done Tuesday, I'm going to do it Wednesday. That's what, so you just start to get into that flow where it's like, okay, cool. I give myself permission to hold myself accountable, have a standard, yes, but I also give myself permission to forgive myself. I didn't reach it, but it's all good. We're back on the horse. We keep it moving. It takes work because high achieving family members, standards, and we ain't even gonna go down that rabbit hole. I've done a lot of things that a lot of people are like, she's definitely a high achiever, man, but moving in this direction, this is the highest of my achievements because I'm being authentically myself. It's not a matter of trying to satisfy what someone else deems as high achieving. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, we do need to move on. We almost
We
out
do.
of time.
I'm so sorry.
How many slides do we got more, Sydney?
I think there's like, after this one, there's just the questions from the
all right.
Instagram, and yeah. Well,
All right,
after
my management.
we just gonna let you talk on this one, then we're gonna open it up for questions. So
okay. I might be wrong, there might be one more, but I don't remember, so I'm just gonna talk really fast. Plan out your day. So take some time to set out the things that are important to you, like writing them down. And then, you don't have to follow some super strict schedule, but just kind of like blocking out time and giving yourself time to work on certain things. And like you guys are saying, like it can be applied to all aspects of life. It's like not even just art, but like even if you put in like, oh, I'm gonna block out like an hour just to like draw. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be something crazy. It goes either way. But yeah, I would just say like you really planning out your day and like putting in that time really helps you realize how much you can get done in like one day. Like it can really be a lot. And even if it's not a lot, as long as you feel like you've made enough progress with yourself throughout the day and like scheduling the things you need to prioritize to like better yourself, then that's ultimately the real goal of planning out your day.
Priorities. That's a key word to remember. I just want to say that. Knock out those priorities and then you'll really feel like you accomplished something. That's very true.
Yeah. Forgot about this one, but this is important. Be patient with yourself. Please, I used to be so bad about this. Anytime I would mess up on something or I wouldn't get something done, I would beat myself up so bad. Like, oh, why'd you do that? Now you're not going to make it to this, and then just flood of negative thoughts. Like, just be patient. It's all a learning experience, and don't be too focused on like the goal and like how the finish line, because then you miss the whole race. You miss the whole thing you were training for. Like, it's all part of the process. If you miss the process, then like, did you really gain anything? Because that's really where you collect all your experiences and your understandings. So yeah, just be a little patient with yourself. We're all learning out here. That is, and then we have 3 questions. You see, questions are actually from the B.A.S.E Instagram Live.
Oh.
Winston.
yes.
They were on the presentation.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. My bad.
I had some from the B.A.S.E Instagram. Some people asked some questions. So I put them in there.
Okay, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right.
So the
first one, how do I promote myself? I feel like we answered this question. It's more of like finding what you like to do and just making art that reflects what you like, that makes you want to continue doing art, and just posting that on a consistent basis where it's healthy for your time schedule.
I'll add on to that promoting yourself, what's key is that you promote yourself, your work to, again, the people who support what you're putting out there. Last thing that anyone wants to do is just spin their wheels, just getting in front of a bunch of people. and those people are not motivated, interested in anything that you do. So as long as it's a relevant audience that you're, putting yourself in front of.
Yeah.
All right, second question. How do you get a wider following if you mainly draw Black characters, since there's a high preference for white and light-skinned characters? All right, okay. So for this, we were talking about you can have 200 followers, but they're like your diehard followers.
Right.
Like, why would you want 20,000 followers and only get 5 likes? You know what I'm saying? I do see what you're saying. There is colorism, there is racism, and it's very annoying. But I feel like just, but I've just, there's a want for darker skin characters. Like I know that. Like I could say that with 100% certainty that there is people that want to see themselves. So and hopefully they come across your page. Like, I guess use the appropriate hashtags like dark skin character, like Black, like, and I feel like those will lead people to where your page is. But but I'm not social media experts, Electra and Sydney. I'm just the person.
I was just honest.
Go ahead, Sydney.
Okay, I was just gonna say like that kind of really goes back to the point we're bringing up, like Electra, especially where you're bringing up like finding your audience / like your audience finding you, like, and just consistently staying with what you want to do. If you want to draw mainly Black characters, then you stick with that and those people will find you. But you also can put in that effort, like Winston was saying, with like the hashtags and like putting yourself in the right environment for you to be in the right space for those people to come to you.
I will add on to that because both of y'all really brought it home. But on my page, for example, I haven't seen anyone, and this isn't to say that there isn't, but I haven't seen anyone else who does what I do on Instagram in my way, because there's no one else, there's no other me, right? But I didn't have someone to compare myself to. I didn't have a domain or like say with this question to say, well, how can a young Black, woman like me doing this, how can I get ahead when there are white artists doing what I'm doing? Like I didn't have that. And I think that's important to just focus on exactly what you ladies said. Do what it is that you feel like doing. In this question, it's noting there's a preference. Okay, if someone prefers that, then let them go there. You're only concerned about those who prefer to support you. And it's all good, it's all good. It really is. Like, so both of y'all really brought it home. So yes, good stuff.
All right. Then last but not least, or maybe there are more questions, I don't know, but how do you price your work? And we got this question in the last one too, but maybe we should do just like a whole workshop on pricing work, because that question does seem to come up very often. But
very, very.
But very. For me, it's how I price my work. I think about the labor. So am I making these prints myself, or am I shipping it off to a company to do the prints for me? That factors in. If I'm doing the labor for myself, or the labor myself, I am going to charge more because it's my time. And what paper am I using? What materials am I using? Like, I have this very expensive camera. Like, I need my investment. I have this very expensive laptop. Like, just add like all of like your materials and what the cost is and what the cost is to maintain that. And like that factors into how you price your work. Then also I have like this one where it's just like sentimentality. Like in my room, I'm in my room right now, and I have like all of these pieces that like I made in high school and everything, and like they're originals, like they're like actually a part of me. So unless you pay off my student loans, I'm not giving you these pieces. Like so it's so it's like, what are you willing, because like once you give away an original piece, you give it away. Yes. So just like thinking, so there's a sentimentality aspect of like, how connected are you to this piece? And what I would do, like, I would make art geared toward selling it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not as attached to it, and I feel more comfortable selling this. So yeah, just labor, sentimentality, and shipping is another thing. Where is this person at? Like, are you going to ship it to Russia? Should you? Like, I don't know. Like, are you going to stick to like Canada and Mexico, USA? Like, you know, just thinking about all of that stuff and everything. But yeah.
And time. Don't forget your time. Your time is very important because you can spend like 30 hours on a painting or drawing, and they'll be like they weren't there for those struggles. Having to sharpen those pencils or clean those paintbrushes, or your pen nib dying or something, like they weren't there for that. They didn't have to endure that. You need to make sure your time is definitely getting paid for as well. That is very important. So all of what Winston was saying is very important, like, you know, effort, time, materials, how you feel, how you connect with the piece. Those are all things you kind of calculate. And that's why when people say, how much do you pay? I just say it really depends. Like, we can have a deeper conversation, but I usually throw them a flat base, because you do want to set a limit for yourself. You never want to undercharge yourself. Know your value and know your worth. You know, if you're doing like this big painting, I don't want to see anybody charging like $25. Okay. Like, if you put in all that time and effort, it's like this gigantic drawing. No.
Gonna come for you. She's gonna come for you.
But yeah, I would say those, like, I definitely agree. We should definitely have a workshop for that specifically. But yeah, if in like the most summarized sense, that's how I would put it as well.
Also, just like my professor, my senior portfolio professor was talking about pricing your work as well. And he was just like, if you're going to price your work and your time at a cheaper price, you're going to attract people who only pay you that cheaper price. So like, he's like, oh, but like, no one's going to pay for like this $100 print. No, someone will. Someone will. Someone will. You know, so like, yeah, but let's see if there are any more questions. Oh no, John, we got a nice quote.
Sorry,
I can't say his name in French accent. Jean Basquiat. Oh, like, this is going on the internet. I'm gonna get clowned. Anyway, it's
you're gonna be like, you're wrong. You're incorrect.
But anyway, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's what you think you're not.
It's who you think you're not.
Nice
Absolutely.
quotes.
That's right. That's right. That's spot on. That's a good quote to draw too, by the way.
All right, I think. All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. But for people in the space, I'm so sorry. If you have Zoom call, do y'all have any questions? Or
if not, that's totally fine. I know, Lily, one of your questions was on there, so like, you know.
I think I know what question it was too.
Very much I'm good for right now.
All right, what about you, Jalen?
Okay.
I don't have any questions. I was just listening while I'm in class, but I would just really appreciate it. I don't
prioritize over class is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was like, it's okay. It's just a group study, so I was just drawing and like taking notes too. So I was all over the place, but I really appreciate this. Thank you. My mind is at a blink for questions because I just came in here as quick as I can.
No, yeah, you're good. You're totally fine.
Thank you for joining.
Of course.
And if you guys did ever have any questions for that were to pop up, it is going to be posted. And so, you know, you could comment and be like, oh, well, this, that, and the third. But yes, I feel like this was an amazing, this was great. I had a lot of fun making that presentation. I'm not even going to hold you guys.
Yeah, this is really dope. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Everything was really well put together. It was like really great information. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, it was really easy for me to follow while I'm in class. So
our pleasure.